Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well trained, well equipped, and battle hardened. He will fight savagely. But this is the year 1944.
Hello, welcome to the first in a series of tutorials covering all of the Atlantic Wall scenario and Gauss system rules needed for the full campaign. Once you've opened the box, punched the counters, and are ready to go, these videos will get you set up as quickly as possible and then teach you the game's concepts in the order they appear in the sequence of play. Alright, before we start, there are a few things you'll need to know. First, I'll only be covering the full logistic and strategic rules. No simplified or optional rules, optional airdrops, or scenarios will be covered in this series. Second, the Atlantic Wall scenario rules supersede the Gauss system rules in every case, meaning wherever there is a conflict between the two, the Atlantic Wall scenario rule is always used. And third, all references will look like this for the October 2016 version of the Atlantic Wall scenario rules, or like this for the July 2020 version of the Gauss system rules. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get started. Now, the first thing you'll want to do is get the latest rules and a copy of the game's errata counters. And you can do both on the Decision Games website. To get the rules, go to the top of the page and click here. Once the page loads, scroll down until you see this. Click on the Gauss section, and then click on the links for both the Gauss system rules and the Atlantic Wall scenario rules. Once they've finished downloading, you can go back to the top of the page to get the errata counters. First, hover over Contact in the upper right-hand corner, click on Game Registration, and fill out the form that appears. Be sure to enter your shipping information correctly, and once you're done with the rest of the form, hit Send at the bottom, and Decision Games will mail you a copy of the Errata Countersheet. If you have any problems, you can get in touch with customer service by going back to the top of the page, hovering over Contact, and clicking on Customer Service. Okay, here's a picture of the front and back of the counter sheet you'll receive. Now, most of these are just intended to fix misprints, but some are to make up for missing counters, and others to add additional breakdown units. It's a little more complicated than it might appear at first, so I've written a guide explaining what each errata counter is intended to do, and you can download it from BoardGameGeek using the link in the description below the video. Good. Let's move on to the rules themselves. Now that you have the latest version of the Atlantic Wall scenario rules, turn to page 43 and go to section 39.0 Campaign Game. Now, the first thing you read is incorrect. There aren't just 5 maps, there are 6 and 2 extensions, and the campaign game uses all of them. Following that, you are given a choice between the full and simplified rules, but if you're going to use this series of videos, well, that choice has already been made. Alright, section 39.1.0 Game Length tells you the campaign starts with the June 6th AM game turn and ends with the August 22nd PM game turn. Then, it gives you a breakdown of the initial sequence of play, but don't worry about any of that. These videos will walk you through everything step by step. Next, you can skip right over everything in sections 39.2 and 39.3. Those are the simplified rules, and my advice is don't even bother reading them, they'll only confuse you. Instead, go to section 39.4 and read the first sentence. All Gauss and Atlantic Wall logistic and strategic rules are in effect. Now, this requires some clarification for the purposes of this video. First, all of the Gauss rules are in effect, except where modified by the Atlantic Wall scenario rules, and those exceptions will be explained when they become relevant. Second, the full logistic and strategic rules include everything in the Atlantic Wall Scenario Rulebook except the two sections I just mentioned containing the simplified rules, Section 26, Optional Rules, Sections 30 to 37 containing Scenarios 1 to 5, and Section 39.6, Optional Airdrops. Nothing in those sections will be covered in this series. And third, some elements of Section 38, Scenario 6 will be important, but I'll tell you which and how when we get to that point. Okay, that's everything you need to know for now. You're ready for the next video. Just a couple of quick suggestions before you go. First, I highly recommend joining the Grand Operational Simulation Series community on Facebook. You won't find a more helpful group of people, and it's mainly because of them, especially the game's designer Joe Youst and the developer Douglas Johnson, that I was able to get answers to all my questions and make this series. And second, if you want more information, you might also want to go look at the game's forums on the ComSimWorld and BoardGameGeek websites. They have a lot of discussions and material you can download that you'll probably find useful. Alright, well that's everything for Tutorial 1. If you have any questions or comments, notice any mistakes, or feel there's something I've missed, be sure to let me know. Any and all feedback is appreciated. And with that, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.